So what I'm doing here is just showing you kind of what I'm doing. This piece of wood here, the entire shape, is an inch too small because I got it cut down an inch too small because I needed the hoop to bend around the edge. Like that. So the whole thing was used as a jig to get it to fit perfectly all the way around because I needed two pieces and then the galley hatch, and everything has to be pretty much perfect for it to work. So therefore, when I go to build it, I want to use this as a jig so I can match each side together. So to do that, I have to build it back up. So as you can see, when you put that down there and this on top, I'm a 1/2 inch too short because this is a 1/2 inch piece of wood. So I need to bring this back up. So what I've been doing, I added this on the bottom, just screwed it to it, and then I got to put another piece on there to give it back to the height. So when I go and jig it all up and go to weld it, that they're flush. And then I can weld it and use this as a jig instead of making an entire new piece that would have to be actually oversized. So it would be a big pain in the butt for no reason. So I might as well use this and just bring it back up, and then I can shim it perfectly and get it ready to weld. So basically that's what I'm doing, building up the edge. And before I did that, before I added on to this, what I did is I went around the edge. You see all these little blocks here. These blocks are here because once you make it flush, you don't really have an accurate way to see where you were. These are all have one little point because it's a curve. If you have two, it doesn't work as well. Because once this is flush, there's no telling where this line is to stop this jig so it lines up perfectly both times. So what I've done is put these little things, they have one point screwed on each thing about roughly 6 inches apart. And when you put the piece of metal back on, even though it's completely flush and could go anywhere, it'll stop and it'll hug these edges. So I know if I block on this side and push it up against it, I know that's exactly where the metal's supposed to be. So that's what I'm doing here. So basically putting this back on, putting this there, and then this will come along, and this will, these will hug this edge and become flush. So you can see it's right back to where it's supposed to be. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's why it looks all weird. All part of the process. So I'll save you guys the trouble. I'm not going to film the whole thing because it's pretty boring, just cutting random pieces of garbage to put on here to extend this out. But basically, that's all I'm doing. Putting some screws back in here. To level this all up. Then I'm ready to get things started. And this will pop in here. Perfect, right where she's supposed to be. And you can see the end here. I've just mocked up to see where it's supposed to be, and that's pretty darn good. So that'll go basically there. And then what it'll do from that point is I come along, grab some scrap blocks of wood, and I'll push it right up against the little teeth, we call it the points, on all these little blocks. So then it's perfect all the way around, and I know it's not going anywhere, and it's locked in where it's supposed to be. I just put the screws on an angle a little bit to force it towards it. And then I'm basically ready to start building the rest of it, jigging it all out.
So the sidewall, this is what I'm doing. I got it all kind of stripped apart. I'm just gonna click it all back together. I just finished cutting and welding all the bracing for the sidewalls and rounding the edges over, so when I grind it all out, not grinding all the weld off, as I'm welding it all 4 sides. Some people only do 2. I figured 4 is probably better, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna click it back in, clean it as I go to make sure everything's clean, and get it ready for welding. And then once this side's done, basically I'll make a mirror image of using this jig, stupid bug, of the other side. So I'll basically build it on here. It's just a couple little things will be different. So it's just minor little things. But one thing I will not be doing is no braces right around here, because the galley, the problem with these trailers, as I've said before, is when you don't have anything inside, you can't just put a screw anywhere. That's fine for something light like a coat hanger. But when you're putting a cabinet, say, inside, or a shelf inside the galley, you can't just go into a skin of something or 1/8" plywood or whatever I put on the inside and expect it to stay there when you're driving down the road and the whole thing's shaking and moving. So basically I have to map out the braces and kind of think ahead of where I'm gonna want these things, so I can put a brace inside the wall, so when I screw into the walls, there's something there other than the skin. So you have to do a lot of planning ahead of time, get a rough idea at least for fastening where everything's gonna go. So that's what I'm doing today, getting that all done. And then I can figure this out. It also give me a better visual once this thing's out of the jig and I can stand it. I can get a better idea of how I'm gonna deal with these corners, because the corners are such an extreme angle. They're not 90 degrees. So I'm gonna have to build that so when the skin comes on it, it's got something to be on. So there's lots of weird little things on this trailer because of the weird shape it is, to make that all happen. Nothing about this thing is the easy way. It's all about aesthetic, but aesthetics come with its price. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. So hopefully it all goes good, because this is kind of the big deal. The side wall, it's starting to actually turning into something. So hopefully it works out all right.